Hello and a warm welcome to our Conversations in Design session. I'm Claire German, Managing Director of the Design Centre. In this virtual format, we're keeping our community engaged and inspired wherever they are. We're bringing together designers, industry insiders and media hosts for some great conversations online. Today we're taking to the high seas, and I'm thrilled that Winch Design are joining us. CEO Aino Grapin has 20 years experience growing businesses in the creative industries, and Selina McCabe leads the interior architecture team. From concept to completion, the level of creativity at the company is totally outstanding. They work on nothing but the best. But how does sustainability fit with the exclusive world of super yachts? Asking the questions is the fabulous Martin Redmayne, Chairman and Editor-in-Chief of the Superyacht Group. So over to you, Martin, and thank you all for tuning in. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations in Design with Design Centre Chelsea Harbour. My name is Martin Redmayne, Superyacht Group. I'm joined today by Aino Grapin and Selina McCabe, both from the Winch Design studio. How are you both today?
Very good. Hi, Martin. Nice to see you.
Good to see you, Martin. Yeah, all good. All good in Winch HQ.
You're both in Winch HQ at the moment?
No, I'm not, but Selina is.
Okay, cool. Listen, we've got an interesting subject to cover. It's one dear to my heart as a board member of the Water Revolution Foundation. It's called Sustainability in Superyachts. My question or my thought process, and we've had these loads of conversations about sustainability in superyachting, is it realistic? Can we really make a difference with sustainability in the big yacht sector? So let's start with the first question. When I say sustainability, from a design perspective and Winch design perspective, what makes sense for super yachts and that sustainability topic?
I think it's a very good way of asking the question, Martin, because it makes a great deal of business sense. Whether or not you are yourself personally invested in this mission, but it makes business sense for us at Winch Design and for any business in the super yacht industry, I believe, to put this right at the top of, say, the top 5 priorities. Because as an industry, if we don't tackle this topic ourselves up front now, it will come back to bite us. So I think it makes business sense. I think clients will also start to see that increasingly. And they won't want, these are long projects, remember? So they won't want to be making the wrong choices today. That again will come back and haunt them in 5 to 10 years' time.
Absolutely.
So I think it makes a great deal of sense.
So from my perspective, what are your thoughts on this topic?
Say it again, Martin. What did you say?
I'm trying to make sure that I get from your the whole face of design, let's say, with clients. How do you tackle this topic? How do you approach it with a client?
Again, it's sustainability is a challenge. You know, it's one that matters beyond our individual company. It's something that is a journey for us at Winch Design, and we don't actually have all the answers yet. We're learning as we go, but we are in the luxury markets, and what we know is that luxury sets trends. So it's our responsibility to change by developing forward thinking, how we present luxury to our clients, and what that means and how it is synonymous with sustainable and ethically resourced materials. So really we have this platform, Martin, we have a platform to present interesting, innovative, luxurious materials to our clients, and why wouldn't we?
Yeah, sure. And are the clients asking for it today? What's the demographic or the ratio of people saying, I want the greenest, cleanest project on the planet, or not that I don't care, but it's all about, I want luxury, and it doesn't really matter where luxury comes from. How's the market shifting?
Well, we have this conversation a lot, actually, and in-house as to where this features within our key values as a business. And it's almost secondary, actually, regardless of what clients feel and think. Why wouldn't we put it at the forefront of our business mantra? However, what we do see is a growing shift in the values of our clients, influencing how we design their interiors, whether that's a yacht, whether it's a plane, whether it's a building on land. And we we need to be aligned with our clients' values, and those are definitely changing. I wouldn't necessarily say it's one particular demographic with you, Aino. I think it's people from all over the world, all different cultures, all different backgrounds. You know, some would say the younger affluent generation is more conscious. We don't necessarily see that all the time. We have all different types of clients who are wanting to put innovation at the forefront of how we design, and sustainability and ethically sourced materials are part of that.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's an interesting thing about the age range. It's changed a lot in the last decade, with much younger people doing different things and going to different places, which I suppose in a way that the wider cruising pattern also has an impact on how the boat is designed and created and thought through at the design phase, how it operates in cold climates versus warm climates, or
absolutely
almost eco-sensitive climates. So that also plays into your design thought process, I would have thought.
Absolutely. I think we have to be responsive, and also forward thinking into how our clients are moving around the globe, where they're choosing to sail their yacht. Is it just sitting in the Med around like-minded people and enjoying being a super yacht owner? Or are they actually wanting to go to every corner of the globe and experience the planet that we're on? And by doing so, trying to do it consciously, you know, protecting the seas, these beautiful oceans that we have, and the yachts that we're designing, they come hand in hand. You can't enjoy your sailing yacht or your motor yacht if it's in seas and oceans that we're not giving back to and helping to protect, which is why we are part of the Blue Marine Foundation. It's something close to our hearts, and we're consciously trying to encourage other people to invest in those initiatives and just be aware, just talk about it, Martin, like we're doing now.
Yeah. Any comments on this?
Yes, I mean, I think whether it's explorers going completely off grid, as you were both alluding to, or more classical designed yachts, that there has been a trend for many years of more connection inside, outside, and more connection to the sea. This idea of towering yachts, you know, where you're literally disconnected from the water, are long gone. So I think that it
lateral living.
It makes perfect sense, exactly, and they want to use their toys, they want to go and explore underwater. It makes perfect sense. They are the first to notice the loss of wildlife, the plastic pollution in the sea, etc., which makes yacht owners more sensitive to what's happening. And it makes perfect sense then to introduce, in a very luxurious way, to introduce innovative materials in their yachts, or technologies for propulsion, etc. Hopefully so that everyone can enjoy the sea and enjoy the environment.
In terms of sourcing materials and that selection process you both go through, or the company goes through, two things: how easy is it to find what you're looking for that meets the criteria, and how much analysis goes into its valid credentials, let's say, in terms of sustainability?
You know, that is probably one of the best questions that we keep having to ask ourselves as a company, and our interiors department is really where it all starts from a kind of materiality point of view. And we're investing lots of time, lots of energy into finding new ways and committing ourselves to assuring that our partners, the people that we work alongside to create all these magnificent interiors, are accountable for that side of the design. So rather than just saying, oh, this is sustainable or this is eco-friendly, we're trying to say, and so what, how, tell us more, and questioning why they are putting this badge on their materials. We actually have a in-house sustainability practitioner, a wonderful girl named Alex, who is so passionate about finding sustainable materials and ethically sourced materials, which doesn't just actually mean materials that are have longevity or have been a byproduct of something else. They are materials that are perhaps sourced from areas of the world that our resources are in decline. So we use a company called Nature Squared. I know a lot of we've all heard of them, but they are so great
Yes.
at bringing luxury to sustainable materials, and they really hold it dear. And another company we're using, Bethan Gray, who is using artisans in parts of the world where otherwise we wouldn't be able to reach without her supply chain. So there's different ways that that sustainability hits the design world, whether that's economic, environmental, or social.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would add to that I think when we embarked on this first, the first few wins were sort of easy. It's easier to find some of these materials, but then all the research that goes into, as Selina was saying, questioning and measuring the to get beyond the greenwashing label of this sustainable, which is actually very damaging to this whole mission that we're on, because then people just discount the whole lot.
Yes.
Is taking a lot more effort than I certainly thought initially.
Yes.
And I think this is going to be one of the challenges for designers like us and others, is to really put in the effort, because we're all set in our ways, working with our suppliers. You know, once you have a solution that you trust, it's very hard to go out and I'd love to show you the work that we're doing with a project called Barefoot, where we've actually asked the Water Revolution, an independent scientific body, to verify with us and measure the environmental impact of every material. And it's a big effort. It'll probably be the first in yacht interior for 50-meter AMOS to go through this exercise, but it's not an easy task.
No.
Yeah, I think it's very evident from various conversations I've had with lots of designers that the sourcing materials is the headache, or is the challenge, not headache, challenge. How can suppliers help you? What is it you think that could be done better to make sure that the selection process, because one of the things that I think is part of the stigma with sustainability is that it may not be luxury if it's sustainable materials or recycled materials, but you can still get extremely luxurious finishes with the right supply chain. So it's not about dumbing down or changing the way you live on board to be more raw. It's still getting high quality luxury experience or interior style. So what can the supply chain do better, do you think?
I think we're embarking on we're scratching the surface of it at the moment, as Aino suggesting, but it's becoming more and more apparent in our network of suppliers. It's something that is at the forefront of what they are, their vision for their companies. So I think there's sort of two answers to the question. One is, how do we kind of make our go-to finishes and materials? How do we perhaps work with our suppliers to make those more ethically and sustainably sourced? And how do we find or work alongside new innovative companies that have these great materials, but that perhaps haven't found a way to apply them in a luxurious way? So that's just a challenge. It's a challenge for us now. When you think about things like leathers, for example, we touched on it when we caught up the other day. There are so many different ways to use leather more sustainably. So how is the dyeing process in relation to the environment? All these things, can we work with our trusted suppliers to fine tune that part of their design process to be better for the environment?
Yeah. And I know we talk about this, in some cases, the client doesn't need to know if he's not interested. It's just almost a responsibility process to find the best resources and materials. that we are taking care ourselves as an industry rather than just using this predictable cycle of, oh, we've always used that material, let's keep using it. But if we find an alternative, does the client need to know? Does the client want to know? He doesn't have to.
It's how you present it, and this is what one thing that we've learned really is the language that we use is crucial, and they don't respond particularly well to the word sustainable. So we found other ways of presenting it. But when you think about luxury, as Selina was saying, you know, we're in the space of luxury, and luxury can be defined as you have something that no one else has, or very
Yes.
And when Selina and her team go and find this very rare new material, very innovative, or very rare because very few people know how to make it, then that's what the client needs to know. This is why it's special. This is why it's bespoke to you, to your interior. And we are often presenting the client with options. And I think in our role as influencers, we can make sure, I think, increasingly by building awareness within our teams, you know, and it can't be just a couple people at the top and plus Alex pushing this. It has to be obviously within all of the teams of all of the projects, this willingness to present options that are all their own ways sustainable or sourced, or you know, all these other better ways of presenting it to clients that we found.
And actually we learned, we are on a journey, as we said, and we're learning how to react to our clients, react to our values, and how we interact with the industry. And we actually we learned the hard way, I suppose, fairly recently. We've been fortunate to win lots of projects as of late, and we're in difficult times. But we did lose the opportunity to take a pitch further, because one of the points the client team said was it was too heavily focused around sustainability. Now, you know, my instant response is, how ridiculous, what a stupid thing to say. How can somebody feel in these times that something is too focused on sustainability? You know, a couple of swear words and angry, sleepless nights. But once the dust had settled, the red mist had cleared, and you turn your listening ears on, actually, we made a mistake. Should sustainability be something that we push on to our clients, or should it be our responsibility as designers just to show a beautiful design that happens to be sustainable? And it was a real lesson learned, actually, Martin, for us as a studio to say, right, is this something that, even like you were touching on, needs to be brought to the attention of our clients? Perhaps some, as Aino was saying earlier on, are more receptive, and it's actually a narrative that they want to be part of their projects, a dinner table conversation. Or is it something that's alongside that actually we just do, and luxury comes first, sustainability, it's just what we do?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the idea that sustainability is almost a culture that is embedded in the design team.
That's right.
And what you touched on earlier on, which I think is really fascinating, is that philanthropic element of your sourcing something from a tiny village in the middle of nowhere, no one else can find it, and you're giving a livelihood to this unique experiential material because we found it for you. The byproduct is that it's from a natural resource and it's good. So I can see that sales process becoming quite exciting in a new era of presenting something that's, as you say, we cannot move away from luxury ever, because that's what we're in. And feeling and experience on board should be always perfection. Where things come from, how they're sourced, how they're made, goes back to your point, Selina, is that the storytelling element is what yachting is all about.
Yes.
Is being able to say, my designer found this and it's made by this little guy in the middle of nowhere, and it's made from butterfly wings or something.
Yes.
And these butterflies fertilize. It's just, you can see exactly how this can become exciting rather than be all about, oh, it has to be about the planet. It's a cultural byproduct.
Yeah.
And I think that's an exciting way of presenting things.
Absolutely. And I think luxury is a term that we throw about a lot in the industry. What we always try to have as an undercurrent to all our projects, land, sea, air, is this idea of emotional luxury. What does that mean for us at Winch Design? It's space, which is this generosity of space. It's time, giving the clients a space that they want to stop, because our clients never stop. They're always moving. There's somewhere they want to stop and have the time to enjoy. And then privacy, which you touched on, this exclusivity, something that's just for them. And why can't the fourth part of that be sustainability? Oh, by the way, I'm doing all of this with awareness and a consciousness to the planet that I'm living on. And hopefully I'm going to try and do one small thing that perhaps leaves the planet in a slightly better condition than maybe what I arrived on this planet as.
Positive impact.
Yes.
Yeah, positivity. Yeah.
Mm.
I think it's a fascinating shift from everyone talking about how green something is into how positive something is.
Yes.
You're right. The language, I know, should be changed into a new way of communication rather than saying we're looking for recycled materials or upcycled materials, because they have a stigma that links to, oh, we don't want to have that on our boat because it's being made from something that's plastic bottles being recycled, but having this positive impact that could be social, economic, or planetary is a way of thinking about it. And that's a key sort of message to come out of this session, that we've got to think in a different way rather than about green, but think about actually you have whatever you want, but we're looking after the impact element of it as a culture in the company. In terms of the next decade of yachting, let's put a crystal ball there. What do you think is going to happen in the next 10 years in terms of design? Because we're going to show some pictures in a minute of some quite nice ideas from the Barefoot project, etc. But how far do you think we're going to go in terms of a new way of living on board yachts? You talked about lateral living earlier on, Selina. What's next potentially?
Well, I think, you know, it's the world is our oyster. There's so much for us to explore and to be challenged by. And I think the luxury high-end brands need to evolve to keep up with this growing trend towards ethical and sustainable luxury. And we need to drive positive change within our industry. We have to. We want to.
Yeah.
And I think in yachts in general, we are seeing sailing yachts come back at center stage, and also or sail-assisted motor yachts. So I believe, together with explorer yachts and that interest in going to more remote locations on the planet, we do see that as a trend.
Yes.
That's where we started. That's where Winch Design started 35 years ago. And we'll be celebrating our anniversary this year with sailing yachts. And we, throughout the years, we've also had recently our partnership with Geno, but we hadn't actually done a custom sailing yacht in a few years. And so we're very excited to be working on so many custom sailing yachts now. And I think it's no coincidence. It's because they are again center stage, even to some clients who perhaps are not sailors.
And there's so much potential for sustainable innovation in sailing yachts. And as Aino said, we have our own sailing yacht department headed up by Ignacio, and that team is talking about eco catamarans, electrical drive monohull sailing yachts, multi-mast dyno rig concepts, all these things which, as Aino touched on, changes our relationship to the sea and to the ocean, and even sailing, the scale of the boats means that it can be synonymous with luxury and space and all the things we see as purely the motor yacht world. The sailing yacht world is adapting to that.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The opportunity is that you talk about lateral living, and a lot of people are living almost on one central deck on a motor yacht these days. So that becomes almost a sailboat lifestyle.
Yes.
And in a way, that's a natural evolution of getting close to the water, which everyone on the big motor yachts wants to be, and then have that positive impact of wind assistance. So you can see how that trend is going to evolve even further, because the other thing that you have is obviously you've got elements of silence with a sailboat.
Yeah.
You have that wonderful feeling of just moving through the water without the noises of propulsion, etc. So these things suddenly become another positive element of the lifestyle, the luxury lifestyle of peace and quiet and privacy and exclusivity. I think the other thing that's interesting to highlight is when you look at some of the big sailboats being built in the last 20 years, then they become icons. They're more iconic in many cases than the motor yacht era. So because they have this statement of this sort of almost architectural statement, as well as a positive impact statement. So it's all very exciting. I'm going to start. Sorry,
I was going to say it's no longer just also about regattas and racing and having a huge crew, which some clients are not going to want to have a huge crew sailing on. But the new technology like Dynarigs, it allows you to have that without, the 30 people who are needed to crew a sailing yacht.
Yeah, that's a key point, is that the regatta world has driven this high-speed innovation, but it doesn't really make sense if you're only racing for 10 days a year. It's in conflict with the actual technology and the value proposition. I'm going to start showing some images now, which we're going to talk to, and our heads will shrink a little bit, and we'll come back to sort of this wonderful sort of little presentation. These are some of the projects. Is that the Barefoot project? Is that correct? These are the mood boards behind Barefoot.
Yeah, so we've got some great, I love being reminded of all the wonderful things that our interior studio produces. And they really, for me, I look at these and I get really passionate and excited about the possibilities. What better example to see than this vibrant blues and reds? And there's nothing about this feels secondary to just luxury and design. I'm trying to see what we've got in there. We've got some really interesting finishes from a company called Neil Fay that do some exciting stuff with aluminium, which is incredible. It's recycled, 100% recycled and 100% recyclable. But they do some really cool services and also utilize them in really innovative ways. Again, looking at leathers and how we can tan them. Whether or not we use palm leaves, which are, again, you can do some really interesting leathers with. Exterior grade fabrics made from recycled fishing nets, which you can see some there. Let's see what else have we got.
I think the interesting thing about the previous mood board is that, again, clients might associate sustainability with earthy tones, and everything's going to have to be very hippie and natural and not vibrant colors. And I think you can prove them wrong here. Here you're looking at the Barefoot concept, which is, we've used 60-meter amels, the new 60-meter amels. And obviously, so with the word barefoot, you understand how much of our design is around the six senses, right? It's not just about what you see, it's about touch, and on the ceiling as well as the floor. Our clients can't walk on the ceilings yet, but we're working on it.
We'll try one day.
But what a beautiful visual. And actually what I find interesting about these is they challenge the perception of what a yacht interior should be. So they're stripped right back. The lighting is just so subtle and deliberate, and the material palette is so livable and restrained. And I just think they're beautiful interiors, regardless of whether it's a yacht or an apartment in Miami.
I think they almost have a therapeutic flavour to them. That you feel relaxed in those sort of barefoot type environments. So sometimes the formality we saw in the last decade or so was very rigid and very, very sort of almost iconic interiors that showcased
Mm.
excess in a way. This is another way of living. This is the way I think the world's moving, not just from pandemic, but it's the way people want to relax and be incredibly comfortable. Because what you see from barefoot, the curves and the feeling looks like it's a sensory experience of comfort. Rather than being very formal in an upright chair, you're slouching a bit more and feeling you can stay there forever, which I think is where you're saying design is heading, in that sort of chill out zone type feeling.
Yes.
Absolutely, I think so. I think there's definitely a place in our business to design formal spaces. All our clients want to entertain and be entertained. But the way in which clients are living and moving around their boats, their properties, I think, I know you'll agree, it's more relaxed, perhaps multi-generational. Our clients have young children or grandchildren that are part of their everyday lives. So each space has to work across all those moments in our client's lifestyle. And they definitely want a more relaxed environment and less ostentatious interior. That's what we're seeing with our client types of every age group, really.
Yes. I mean, the last two images we saw were Blue Water Sloop. And now we're looking at the concept, which is 100, and then the previous one is in build. This is a concept with Royal Houseman, 100-foot eco concept, and which we're calling solar. And I think we were just seeing on the next one.
The previous slide, please.
These solar panels which extend like butterfly wings. So we're looking at being wind and solar powered. And so this is really just in its infancy, but these are some of the things that we think are going to be used in the future.
I think the point is that when you look at what can be done, there are almost no boundaries and no limits, because if a client's excited by something, they typically will go for it and get invested in it. And in a way, that was part of some of our industry's heritage, where a client will drive innovation if it's presented in the right way. I think that's where yachting becomes quite exciting. It can, in the way that Formula One drives innovation in automotive, I think we're in a stage of our life where the billionaire ultra high net worth category can really get excited about next gen projects and drive designers and engineers and innovators into a whole new level, where energy efficiency, interior design, lifestyle and living spaces almost challenge us to do something totally different, rather than following some of those predictable phases we've been through in the past of very, very sort of formal dining. And there's a new way of thinking. I think it's really quite exciting. We're entering into an era about change and positive change. We're also entering an era where people and purpose become more important than profit, because profit becomes a byproduct of that positive impact we're making. So it's almost, we're taking a totally different mindset of yachting and being, going back to your point, Aino, we're starting to collaborate on how we can change our industry and make it more impactful in a positive way. So this is a very exciting time for yacht design. And I think it's lovely to have two of these sort of visionaries on the screen with me. So thank you very much for your time. Wonderful conversation. And I hope to see you again soon, face to face.
Yes, very soon. Thank you, Martin.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Thanks so much, Martin. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.